All right, welcome back to another day. This is day, I believe, 14. We're going to, at this point, reinstall the headers back on, the exhaust manifolds back on. So we're going to get this all ready. This should be cleaned up enough on this side because, like I said, the head was out and the machine shop cleaned the head up pretty good. So that surface should be good at this point. So what we're going to do here is we've got new gaskets over here. These are all from Ferrparts. They're brand new. So we're going to go ahead and put those on. And like I said, these go on dry. I'm going to put some anti-seize on the studs though with the nuts. So anyway, we're going to get those fitted up. The exhaust manifolds are sitting over here. We're going to probably clean those surfaces up, get those ready, and then put the new gaskets and anti-seize and get those installed today. So let's get started. All right, so we got the one manifold right here. We're going to clean these surfaces up. Take a little Scotch-Brite and clean that up. And then we're going to use this anti-seize here on the threads when we install those, just to give it a little extra. If you ever need to take it off so they're not stuck on there, that'll help prevent the nuts from rusting on there, and it'll keep the threads a little cleaner. So we'll install that on there yet, but I'm going to go ahead and get these cleaned up and get them ready to get installed. All right, so we've got our gaskets on there, our new seals. I've got some anti-seize on the threads at this point. So now I'm going to go ahead and fit the exhaust manifold up and reinstall the nuts and everything. So we're going to go ahead and get that done. All right, so I've got the header on the bank 2 here installed with brass nuts and that. So we're going to go ahead and continue on the other side on bank 1. So anyway, continue on. All right, so this is bank number 1 header, or exhaust manifold. I've kind of cleaned these up. I know they don't look like it, but I just made sure there was no burrs, everything was flush. You don't need to go crazy with this. Just make sure that everything's nice and flush. There's no burrs, no heavy deposits of carbon or anything on there. So I've already taken this Scotch-Brite pad and gone over it. Like I said, you really don't want to use anything mechanical because you could leave a valley and then it would cause a leak. So I'm not going to go any further with that. That should be clean enough. Like I said, just knock down the high spots. Just make sure there's no valleys or anything. Same thing on the other side. So what we're going to do over here is I'm going to go ahead and put some anti-seize again on the studs here. And put the new exhaust manifold gaskets and install it. So we'll get set up to do that right now. All right, got some anti-seize on the threads now, and then I've got the new exhaust manifold gaskets on there now, and then it's time to fit the new, or not new, the original exhaust manifolds on there. We did pressure check these to make sure they are not cracked. They are known to have issues on the 355, so we did check them out. We didn't have any issues with them. So like I said, we're going to go ahead and reinstall the original exhaust manifolds on this car. So like I said, we did check them out and everything was okay. So we're going to proceed on and install these right now. All right, we've got the exhaust manifold all torqued up on the passenger side, which is bank 1. So that's complete. So we're going to go ahead and move on. I don't know if we're going to go ahead and attach the rest of the exhaust, or we can start working on the valve covers at this point. But we've got to fit the gaskets before we can install those. So we'll see what we're going to head here in a minute. All right, I think the next thing I'm going to go ahead and tackle is I think I'm going to go ahead and cut the seals for the valve covers and that, and get those fitted so we can install those and get this all closed up. Like I said, we're done with our timing at this point. So So we'll have to fit the gaskets. We'll have new O-rings in here that we'll install. Kind of tedious because you need to get in here and you need to cut all these seals apart and fit all these in here. Same thing with the back here. And like I said, we're going to use Hylamar in here, not RTV. Works a little bit better. It's for machined aluminum surfaces. So that's what we're going to use on that. So we can get this all closed up and keep anything from falling in there. So that's what we're going to go ahead and do at this point. All right, so we've got the valve cover here for bank number 2. There is a difference between left and right. They're not interchangeable. Same thing with the seal here. These are not interchangeable. So what we're going to do here is flip this over. Make sure these surfaces are clean. May take a little bit of a Scotch-Brite here again and kind of clean these areas up here and get those clean. Same thing here. There's O-rings that go in here. Make sure those are clean also. These surfaces here. All right. This gasket only fits on one way. So we're going to go ahead and kind of clean this up and fit that. And then once it's all fitted, we'll put some Hylamar on there and we'll install it. All right, so I've got most of the mating surfaces clean here now. So I'm going to go ahead and start fitting this new seal on here. So I'm going to take it, install it on here, and then it's got this pin in the corner here. If I can get it on here with one hand, it kind of like fits on right there like that. So you just kind of helps it hold in place. So there is another pin on this side, but it's on the block, so I just left it there. So you get all this stuff lined up the best you can before you start trimming this thing, okay? So I'm going to actually stick some pins in here in several locations so I know where this sits so it doesn't move on me when I'm trimming this. I'll show you here. All right, so I've got my pins installed here. Like I said, it kind of holds the seal in place so I know where to cut. And like I said, so it doesn't move around, so I don't cut too much off or not enough. So this is kind of what I do. You can do whatever you want to do, but like I said, this kind of holds the seal in place. Now, if this pin was installed on this side, that would kind of hold it too, but like I said, this is a little bit bigger hole here, and so is this hole over here. But anyway, that's what we're going to do, and we're going to take a razor and trim these up close as possible. All right, so we've got our seal trimmed now. I've got a little cleanup here to do. Looks like I got some remnants there, but it's all fitted up. So everything's looking good here. So we're going to go ahead and take these gaskets, and I'm going to fit them on the actual head side and see what we got, because the surfaces may be a little bit different, but they're looking good. So like I said, I transferred the seal to over here, and you can tell here it's just a hair too long, so I'm going to have to trim that. And because if I just stick it in there the way it is, it's forcing the seal back. So I need to trim just a little bit off the front here, and not too much because you'll have a leak. And then in these areas, make sure you get a little extra Hylamar. I noticed you don't use a lot, but in these areas here, these are the areas that want to leak. So when you're trimming this, make sure you don't trim too much off. All right, so I've got this trimmed now. As you can see, it just fits in there nicely. It's not pushing on it. It's fitting there really flush. So we're going to go ahead and see how this other side sits up here and do the same thing if we need to. So you can see here again, see how it's too long? It's hitting right here. So I'm going to have to trim just a little bit off of there because it's wanting to push the seal back. So we're going to have to trim that. All right, so we've got these caps here that go on the end of the valve cover. Here's the new O-rings for that. We'll change those out. And then here's your O-rings here for your the center of their spark plug holes here. They go right here, but on the head side, you can see on the head the little valley where they go. You kind of want, like I said, make sure these are clean, and then we're going to use Hylamar on those to kind of hold them in place because you don't want those slipping out or you'll have a leak and it'll go into your spark plug hole. So we'll clean those up. And then another thing we're probably going to do here is look through here. Make sure we didn't drop anything while we were installing any of this stuff. Because you don't want anything in there, any debris or whatever. And we may put a little bit more oil on those areas, on the cams and that, just to make sure that they're kind of pre-lubed here for when we get to the point where we're turning the motor over and starting it. We don't want it dry, so you want some sort of lubricant in there just to kind of help things from wearing. So we're going to go ahead and get this thing prepped, get our Hylamar on these locations, and get this installed. All right, here we've changed these O-rings on these end caps. One goes on each side. They're the same. There's the old O-rings. Like I said, we've got the seals already. We're going to start applying the Hylamar. Probably going to go apply it to the gasket side here. Make sure all these surfaces are clean. Like I said, make sure there's no debris inside here anywhere, down your spark plug holes or anything. I'm going to go ahead and fit this in here right now. Just like that. And then the other side gets a sensor. So that'll get installed later. Make sure your bushings are installed, or you have them. The one bushing here is installed on the valve cover itself. So make sure you have those. Like I said, I'm going to put a little bit of oil down in here. Make sure all this is clean, like I said. And we're going to put some Hylamar in these areas here. I'll show you that when I get there. All right, so I've got a nice film, not very thick, on the valve cover here of Hylamar. You can see here I got on the O-rings here where they go. All the edges, like I said, you don't have to use a lot of this. A little goes a long way with this. So don't go crazy with it. And then as you can see over here, I put some extra in the areas that like to leak. I've got the O-rings installed with Hylamar or anaerobic sealant. Same way in the back here. I like to concentrate on these tight areas on the ends here where there's not really good sealing capabilities with the seals and that. So I put a little extra in there just to give us a little guarantee it won't leak. I did pour a little bit more oil on the cams here so they're not dry. So I'm going to go ahead and put a Hylamar on the seal itself and then set it in place in these places on the head itself. Because I don't want, I flip the valve cover over, I don't want the seals to fall off or get misplaced. So I'm going to set the seals down in here. All right, so you can see I have the seals all in place where they need to be. Hylamar spread where it needs to be. The O-rings are in place. Like I said, I like to concentrate a little bit more in these areas here. Just the fact that it has has more of a chance to leak in these areas. Okay. Especially in the front here, it's more critical. These here the caps and that will hold those on, so it's not as critical in the back. But definitely up in front here, it's more critical. So make sure you have enough sealant in there. Like I said, you don't go crazy with this stuff. This stuff's pretty thin. And then we're going to go ahead and stick the valve cover on it this time. As you can see here, I've got a little bit spread on there also. All right, you can see I've got the valve cover on now. The stud here goes right here. And there's a little acorn nut that goes here. And then you have acorn nuts all around it. But you can see how little Hylamar or anaerobic sealant that I used on the seals and that. And I still got, you can see here where it pushed out. So like I said, it little goes a long way with this stuff. You can see here it pushed out, which would be like ideal. I don't have a lot there, but you can see that I do have some coverage. So that's a good sign that I use the proper amount. Just like I said, just make sure when you're doing this, that when you're installing the nuts, that you don't have anything that falls down in the spark plug cavities here while you're doing this. But now I'm going to go ahead and torque these up. like anything else, inboard to outboard. Okay, so you're going to work your way from the inside out in both directions. All right. All right, I'm going to fasten that valve cover 8.8 Newton meters or 78 inch pounds. So 8.8 Newton meters or 78 inch pounds. So we're going to go ahead and torque that up. I've got these all torqued. Now the torque that I told you, it seems a little strong. So if it feels like it's not gonna, if it's gonna be too much, I wouldn't worry about going too crazy a torque on that. But that's the only torque I could find in the service manual, and that is the same size bolt as the caps on the cam. So usually on torques like that, you're going by the nut size and the thread pitch and everything. So that's how they calculate a lot of that. So anyway, these are all secure right now. I'm probably going to wait a little bit before I put the plugs in. I probably just going to clean these areas up, wipe down the excess sealant for right now, and then call it a day for today. And then I'll probably put the plug covers back in or something to keep material from going down into the cylinders. So I just make sure that nothing gets down in there while I'm away. But yeah, anyway, thanks for watching today, and continue to watch. Please subscribe, and I'll catch you in another day or two.